Okay, so today we are going to discuss a biology topic for GCSE. It is known as homeostasis and response. These notes we are discussing are from PMT education. So, what is homeostasis? Homeostasis is the maintenance of a constant internal environment. So, a plant or animal, including man or woman, has got an internal environment, external environment. Unfortunately, we can't control the external environment. If it rains, it will rain. If it suns, it will be sunny. But internal environment we can control and maintain in a constant manner. That is known as homeostasis. Stasis means something which is constant. Homeo means something which is uniformly in the same state. Mechanisms are in place to keep the optimum conditions despite internal and external changes. So whatever happens internally or externally, the internal environment is kept at optimum condition. This is needed for enzyme actions and all cell functions, because cells and enzymes work only in the specific constant environment. That's why we have to maintain this homeostasis. In the human body, for example, a human body, man or a woman, homeostasis can control blood glucose concentration, body temperature, water level. So this is an example. Say if you take water level means if you drink more water, you will produce more urine. If you take less water, if you are thirsty, if you are walking in a sun, you will produce less urine and your urine may be very concentrated. So body tries to maintain the homeostasis. Now they are going to discuss this topic under various topics. The first one is nervous and hormonal communication. So nerves conduct from one place to another. Say for example, if you want to take a tumbler or a glass, you think, and from the brain the instructions goes by the nerve to the fingers and hand, you are taking a glass. And hormonal communication, again hormones work in the same way. You see a movie with a very gruesome scene or something like that, it creates a kind of palpitation, your heart is getting racing out. So that's because of the increased stress hormones or adrenaline secretion, that is hormonal impulses or hormonal communication. And this is involved in autonomic control systems which detect changes and respond to them. All control systems have receptors, coordination centers and effectors. So this nervous and hormonal communication works in autonomic control system, which means automatic control. Inside the body everything is automatic. For example, we don't digest our food. The food we are eating getting digested by itself. We don't produce urine. The urine is produced automatically from the blood. So these are all automatic control systems. So it has three kind of stages. One is receptor. So there are cells which detect the changes in the environment or stimuli. For example, if we drink less amount of water, the glomeruli cells in the kidney detect that less water with the help of the osmolality. And there are coordination centers. For example, the coordination centers are present in the brain, spinal cord and pancreas. So brain is like thinking, moving around, etc. Spinal cord is like respiration, heart rate, etc. Pancreas is like a sugar control or diabetic control. Then effectors. Because of the receptors, the stimuli is detected. Because of the coordination centers, the homeostasis is achieved. Because of the effectors, they are the end organs. They bring about responses to bring the condition back to the optimum level. Say for example, effectors for water is kidney. So kidney will try to output less water in dry conditions so that the body water is conserved. So for water, receptor also in the kidney. Coordination can happen by hormones like antidiuretic hormone, which are going to see later, and effectors also in the kidney. Now let us dive into the human nervous system structure and function. The nervous system allows us to react to our surroundings and coordinate the action in response to stimuli. So outside there is a stimuli is coming, it helps us to coordinate. receptor cells convert stimulus into a electric impulse. So as usual, there is a receptor cell which convert the stimulus into electric impulse. Say for example, it is very cold outside. So our skin helps as a receptor cells, and the sensations of the coldness is converted into an electric impulse. And if it is like dark outside, our eyes are the receptor cells, specifically retina, which convert the darkness outside into an electric impulse. This electrical impulse travels along cells called sensory neurons to the central nervous system. Say for the eyes, the sensory neuron is optic nerve. We know that there is an optic nerve behind the eyes which takes the impulses from the eyes into the brain. Okay, so sensory neuron is an optic nerve. Okay, here the information is processed and appropriate response is coordinated, resulting in electric impulse being sent along motor neurons. So from the brain, the information is processed and information or electric impulse is sent along the motor neuron. Say for example, if your eye sees a kind of a danger stimuli like a presence of an insect, presence of a tiger, then it is taken by the optic neuron, brain processes it and sends via the motor neuron to your legs, and the effectors are the legs which helps you to run away from the insect, run away from the danger. So effectors carry out the response. This may be muscles contracting, the only example which we discussed now, or glands secreting hormone. We are going to discuss this further. So how it works? There is a receptor cell which receives stimulus. It takes by electric impulse a sensory neuron into the brain, and in the brain it produces electric impulses which is taken by motor neuron to the effector cells. Examples for effector cells are muscles and glands secreting hormone. Automatic responses which takes place before you have time to think are called reflexes. Reflexes means without even thinking. Say for example, if there is a tiger, before even thinking you will start moving, and then maybe when you are running you will think, okay, I am running because there is a tiger, I need to run like that. That is a reflexive measure. If your pen is slipping or book is slipping from your hand, reflexly you will try to catch it before it falls into the floor. So it's a reflex. It is automatic. You have no control over it. They are important as they prevent the individual from getting hurt. So sometimes when you slip, automatically you will try to hold something next to that. So it prevents you from hurt. If you don't have that reflex, you will have a big bang, a thud. Okay? And because of this, information travels quickly down the path. It is known as reflex arc, allowing vital responses to take place quickly. This pathway is different from usual response to stimuli because the impulse does not pass through conscious areas of the brain. So earlier we have studied, for example, vision, where eye is the stimuli receptor, optic nerve is the sensory nerve, brain or cerebellum is the where the eye receptors are there, optic area in the back of the brain, cerebrum, where it is the main area which processes the information, and the electric impulse pass through the motor, and then it works in the effector cell, for example muscle. This takes time, but in case of a danger, the reflex acts quickly. There is no place for the brain. So from the stimuli center, the whole thing is converted in the spinal cord itself and goes to the motor center and it's completed. So that is known as reflex arc. Okay, so in the reflex arc, the pathway is different because the stimuli does not pass through conscious areas of the brain. That's why you don't do it with consciousness. When you're falling, you won't be consciously thinking, oh my god, I am falling, let me try to catch hold of that bar or table. You won't think. You will catch something, support yourself, then only you will understand, oh, I was about to fall and reflexly I got it. Lot of time in cricket match, the catches happen by reflex, because when the batsman hits the ball, it reaches the closer by players within milliseconds. They have to reflexly catch. After catching only, the fielder will know, oh, I caught it. He will be surprised to see the ball in his hand. While the person who is standing closer to the boundary, He will plan, he will run, he will see the ball, he will move around and then he will catch. There consciousness is playing. While if you are a keeper or if you are closing batsman, there is no place for consciousness, it affects by reflex. After missing the batch, they will know, oh, I missed it. After catching, I will, oh, I caught it. But that requires, you can even train your reflex also. Okay. And this pathway is different because, as I said, there is no involvement of the conscious area of the brain. A stimulus is detected by receptors. Impulses are sent along the sensory neuron. In the central nervous system, impulse pass to a relay neuron. So instead of going to the conscious area, it goes directly to relay neuron. So try to memorize the green highlighted words. They are the main words which will give you mark when you are writing the exam. And impulses are set along the motor neuron. Easy peasy. So receptor, sensory neuron, instead of brain, there is a relay neuron. Usually it is spinal cord. And then impulses set along a motor neuron. The impulses reaches an effector resulting in the appropriate response. Examples of reflex arc are pupils getting smaller to avoid damage from bright lights. So you may have seen some videos where if you shine a bright light into the eyes, the pupils will contract because we don't want so much of light to enter the eye and damage the retina. Okay, so pupil will contract. And moving your hand from hot surface to prevent damage. So you are making a good coffee and you want to take the coffee, and as you touch you will understand it's hot. You can't think, oh, it is hot, I think I need to take my finger away. By the time your finger will be burnt. So once it is hot, reflexly your finger will be taken away. So that's where the reflex happens. Okay, and moving the hand from a hot surface is an example for the reflex. Synapses are the gaps between two neurons. So when there are two neurons, the junction is known as synapses. When the impulses reaches the end of the first neuron, a chemical is released into the synapse and the second neuron will get the chemical, diffuses across the synapse, and the second neuron will trigger the impulse to begin against the next neuron. So two neurons, the impulses are spread by synapses. The usual chemical which is used is known as acetylcholine. It is not given here, but if you can remember, this will give you bonus mark. Acetylcholine, ACETYL, acetylcholine, CHOLINE. Okay, good. Your reaction time is how long it takes for you to respond to a stimulus. It can be measured with the ruler drop test. Ruler drop test means, say for example, you are dropping a ball from here. You have to leave and hold again. So if you can leave here, see here, if you are leaving here and hold again here, it's 10 centimeter means your reflex is 10 centimeter. If you're leaving and holding only here, your reflex is 20 centimeter. There is a ruler drop test. This is an example. And now we are going to discuss about the brain. The brain is made up of, before going to the brain, any questions?
Yes, okay. Are there relay neurons in a non-automatic reflex?
Yeah, in both automatic or non-automatic, you will be having relay neurons. There are some pictures which you can see if you want to know about the neurons. Say for example, if you want, you can see this picture. It's a very nice picture which shows us how neurons, that synapse will work. So there is one neuron and there is another neuron. The center part is known as synapse, and there are some synaptic vesicles which releases the particles. These particles are known as acetylcholine. You don't have to remember that, that will be too much.
So there are
relay neurons all over the body. Yeah. Okay, we'll go to the next section. It's known as brain. So brain is made up of many connected neurons and controls complex behavior. It is the part of the central nervous system along with the spinal cord. So as you all know, brain is in the top part of the spinal cord. Different regions control different functions. For example, a brain has got three components: cerebral cortex, cerebellum and medulla. So the best example is like this. So there is a cerebral cortex, the biggest part of the brain. There is a cerebellum in the back, and in the center there is the medulla, or also called as brainstem. So cerebral cortex takes care of all the cortical functions: touch, smell, talking, and the back part of the cerebral cortex is important for the vision. Cerebellum is predominantly for balance. That was makes you to think, oh my god, the bus is swinging towards left side, right side. That balance is by the cerebellum. Medulla takes care of lots of automatic organs like heartbeat, respiratory rate, etc. So medulla is very good for the automatic control. Medulla is very important organ. So what is given here? Cerebral cortex controls consciousness, intelligence, memory and language. It is the outer part of the brain as shown in the picture. Cerebellum controls movements of muscles, rounded structure towards the bottom back of the brain. Okay, you remember the picture? Okay, bottom back of the brain. Medulla controls unconscious actions such as breathing and heart rate found in the brainstem in front of the cerebellum. So just in the front of the cerebellum. Remember the picture?
Isn't it like...
Yeah, in our body, cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla,
Yeah.
inside. Okay?
Here.
Yeah. So investigating brain function and treating brain damage and disease is very difficult because brain is a very complex and delicate structure. It can be easily damaged, but for the good skull, drugs given to treat the disease cannot always reach the brain because of the membrane surrounding it. So brain is surrounded by a membrane, meninges, if you want to know. The membrane name is meninges. Because of the meninges, there is actually a term known as blood-brain barrier. It's a very easy term to remember, which means whatever you are giving in the blood won't go to the brain. It is barrier is there. Because of the blood-brain barrier, if there's a problem in the brain, just like that you can't give a tablet or an injection. It will go all over the body. It will never reach the brain. There is a blood-brain barrier. Okay, the barrier is by the meninges. It is not fully understood which part of the brain does what. That's what for your level. But frankly speaking, millions and millions of pounds were already spent, and mostly we know which part of brain does which. For exam's sake, it's okay for you. Neuroscientists, those that study the nervous system, can map out the regions of the brain using a number of methods. Studying patients with brain damage, say for example, if a patient has got damage to the back end of the cerebrum like this. So what happens is they are having difficulty in seeing, difficulty in identifying the objects. There are some field divisions. So that shows that the back end of the cerebrum helps in vision. Similarly, if somebody has injury to cerebellum, they will be having difficulty in getting balance. They will sway around. They can't walk without support. So then they found that, oh, cerebellum is the one which creates the balance. So because of the people with brain damage, we will know which part works by which method. Yeah.
So, is the cerebrum and cerebral cortex the same?
Yeah. So cerebrum is this whole structure. The whole structure is cerebrum. Cerebral cortex is only the outermost part of the structure. So in any organ, cortex means outside, medulla means inside. In kidney also we have a cortex and medulla. In adrenal also we have a cortex and medulla. Okay. In cerebrum also, whatever present outside is cortex, whatever inside is medulla. That medulla in the brain is bit long. That is known as, it is known as medulla oblongata, because the medulla is long, and that medulla oblongata continues as a spinal cord. So it continues down as a spinal cord. It's very nicely written in this image. Okay, good. So studying the patients with brain damage, observing the changes in an individual following the damage on a certain area of the brain can provide information on the role of that such area. And electrically, by stimulating different parts of the brain, we can stimulate the back of the brain optic area to produce some colors, some visions. So by electrical stimulation also we are able to know which part of the brain functions in which way. This can be done by pushing an electrode into the brain, or stimulation may result in a mental or physical change in the individual, providing information on the role of this area brain has. Okay, the other area we can reach or learn about brain without putting an electrode is MRI, which is magnetic resonance imaging. Magnetic resonance imaging. Okay, it is a type of a scanner. It's like a CT scanner. For the brain, MRI is the better scanner. CT scan is helpful for all over the body. It can be used to create an image of the brain. This can be used to show which part of the brain is affected by tumor or which part is active during a specific task. So during MRI, if somebody is thinking about having a nice perfume smell, using an MRI, we can find which part of the brain is getting lightened up, and we can identify, oh, this is the area where smell function works. Ideally, nowadays they are not using MRI. They are using a thing known as functional MRI, so that it gives us the function of the MRI. It is known as functional MRI. So otherwise,
like when a person's
conscious, they will do something, and the function is recorded in the brain, and they know which part of the brain is working. So static MRI and functional MRI. Okay, good. And next we are going to read about the eye. Eye is a sense organ which contains receptors sensitive to light, intensity and color. It has many different structures within it. They are adapted to allow eye to change shape in order to focus on near or distant objects. That is known as accommodation. So now I am seeing you. You are sitting a bit closer to me, and if I turn this, I can see the tree also. When I am seeing the tree, you are becoming blurred. When I am seeing you, the tree is getting blurred. It is known as accommodation of the eyes. Okay. So eye has got from the front to back. It is actually like back to front. They have written retina. We know very well. If you want, I can show you a picture. You want a picture?
I can draw.
You can easily remember. So retina is the one which is in the back of the eye. You can see what I'm doing. Retina is the one, and from the retina, optic nerve goes behind. It goes inside the brain. Sclera is the one which is the white color of your eyes. Whatever you're seeing white color, that is sclera. Okay. Cornea is the one which is a see-through layer in the center of the eye. See me? The center of the eye. That is cornea, center of the one. It appears black in general. Okay. And iris is the one which is the muscle inside the cornea. If you look into the cornea with a torchlight, you can see there is something like a diaphragm. It is known as iris. That is the muscle which will relax to allow more light to go in or contract also. And ciliary muscle, suspensory ligaments, they hold the lens in place, because the lens should be in place so that we will get the good amount of accommodation. Okay. The process of accommodation is to focus the near object or focus a distant object. To focus a near object, ciliary muscles contract. Remember this alone. So when you are reading, if you are reading for hours and hours and hours, you feel your eye is painful, because there is a ciliary muscle which is contracting to accommodate to closer work. Okay, so if I am taking a dumbbells, if I am going on for 1 hour, my hands will get ache. It's because the muscles are contracting continuously. Similarly, in the eyes also, ciliary muscle contracts continuously. That's why you are getting a kind of a eye strain when you are reading for more than few hours. Unfortunately, you guys are not reading to that level. Okay, and opposite is suspensory ligament, which gets loosens. Okay, ma'am. So muscles will contract, ligaments with loosen when you are doing a nearby work like reading, and lens is getting thicker and more curved, which reflects the light more. So you need to remember this. There is no other way. Ciliary muscle is getting contracted. That you can remember. I told you with an example. Opposite, suspensory ligament loosen, lens become more curved. Lens becomes, see me, becomes more curved. In seeing distant thing, it becomes more flat. Okay, flat. Okay, so exactly opposite is the focus to a distant object. Ciliary muscles relax, suspensory ligament tighten, lens becomes thinner. Okay, light is refracted less. Eye defects occur when light cannot focus on the retina. Short-sightedness is known as myopia. Long-sightedness is known as hyperopia. How to remember this? Short-sightedness, the word itself is short. Myopia.
I'm short-sighted.
Long-sightedness, that's an easy way to remember. Long-sightedness, the word itself is long. Hyperopia. Okay.
Hyper means more. And
more.
hypo means less.
Correct.
So
Hypoவே வரலைங்க, வெறும் myopia
yeah,
தான்
but
வரும்.
like
Just
you can remember hyper.
remember hyper as a long.
And you can remember myopia because I'm short-sighted.
Yeah. So most of us are myopic, or students are myopic, and short-sightedness. Remember, if you are short-sightedness, you can see short objects clearly. Distant objects will be blur. If you are long-sightedness, you can see long objects clearly, which happens only in old age, above 50 or 60, where they can see distant objects comfortably, but for short objects they need to put a glass. Okay, so whatever in the term, that is functioning good. Remember like that. Short-sightedness, short, good. Long-sightedness, long, good. If you remember like that, easy to remember. Got it? So remember the medical word, which is myopia and hyperopia. There are a number of treatment methods we can use. It can be treated with spectacle lens, concave lens, spread out light to treat myopia, convex lens to bring the rays together to treat hyperopia. How to remember this? If you see old people, in the eyes they will have a lens with a small round in the old people's glass. It's a convex lens. They put convex lens because it is for hyperopia. For us, it is concave lens. Okay, concave lens is only for myopia. Okay, you can remember like that.
Isn't
Concave means like this. So that's why our lenses are thicker in the outside, thinner in the center. Okay, convex is like this. If you see old people, they will be having a small lens below, which will be convex. Okay, you can remember that. Then you can treat it with contact lens. So it's very good when people are playing sports. There are hard and soft contact lens for different lengths of time. Soft contact lens can be wear for a longer time. Okay, laser eye surgery you can do. So you know people are doing laser eye surgery, and lasers can be used to cut the thickness of the cornea. If you cut the thickness will change. So if somebody with -6 power, after the surgery it becomes only -1 or -0.5. They may have to wear the glass, but it's a very thin glass. Laser eye surgery. Replacement lens. So hyperopia can be treated by replacing the lens with the artificial clear, made of clear plastic. So if somebody is having hyperopia, which means old age, so they can remove that diseased lens and put a plastic lens. So it is known as hyperopia lens treatment. It's known as intraocular lens surgery, IOL. Okay, intraocular lens surgery. And now we are finishing the eyes and getting into the next one, which is the control of the body temperature. So we have a thermoregulatory center. Thermo means temperature, regulatory means which regulates. Okay, this monitors and controls the body temperature, and thermoregulatory center is found in the brain. Okay, it has receptors that monitor the temperature of the blood. So how will you control the whole body temperature? If you control the blood temperature, the whole body is controlled, because the blood is the one which flows from head to toe at a very good speed. So by controlling the temperature of the blood, the whole body is controlled. The very good example, another example is, how are you controlling the temperature of your house? Because of water running through this radiator throughout the house. You can't control the temperature of a wall, temperature of a window, temperature of a door, etc. But if you control the temperature of the water running in the regulator, since it runs all over the house, the whole house temperature is controlled. Similarly, for us body, if you control the temperature of the blood, boom, the whole body temperature is controlled. Easy peasy? Good. So the thermoregulatory center works by monitoring the temperature of the blood. It has receptors in the skin that send impulses to the thermoregulatory center. So when the skin feels like it's cold outside, the thermoregulatory center will try to put up energy into the blood, makes it warm. If the skin feels it's very warm and sweaty outside, it will even try to put lot of blood into the skin so that the temperature can be lost by the skin. That particular function is not present in the dog. It can't lose the heat by skin. That's why dogs pant, which means they will put the tongue out. Tongue is the only place by which they can lose the heat energy. That's why in the summer dogs pant, put the tongue out like that. That's how they pant. While for human beings, the normal skin, the blood will help to throw out the excess of temperature. And that's why we sweat also in the hot temperatures. Okay. And human body temperature is fixed at 37.5 degrees Celsius. You have to memorize it. There is no other way. 37.5, easy to remember. Just midway between 35 to 40, 37.5. Okay. Now, if it becomes too high, sweat evaporates from the skin surface, resulting in increased energy loss or transfer away from the body, which is produced from the sweat glands. That's why we sweat during the hot temperatures. And vasodilation, as I said, the amount of blood going into the skin will be high, so there will be vasodilation, more blood close to the surface of the skin, resulting in increased energy transfer from the body. If the temperature is decreasing, sweating stops. In cold, we don't get any extra feeling. Skeletal muscle contract rapidly, shivering. That's why in cold we shiver in cold. And when we shiver, what happens? If a muscle is shivering, it produces heat, and then the temperature will get better. So shivering is a way of increasing the body temperature. Okay, we always think because of the cold a person is shivering, but the reason is because of the cold they are shivering to increase the temperature to withstand the cold. Okay, and it also generates from the respiration. Lot of respiration will produce heat, and hairs stand on the end to create the insulating layer. The hairs will stand. Okay, becomes piloerection. It is known as piloerection. Pilo means air. Okay, they will be erect and straight, so that it will help and form, just like how you will wear a nice thermal coat with lot of fur in it. So that's an extra fur, artificially you are wearing it in the winter temperature. And vasoconstriction. So vasoconstriction will reduce the blood going to the surface of the skin, so there will be less heat loss. When blood goes to the surface, heat will be lost into the atmosphere. During the cold seasons, vasoconstriction. That's why the skin becomes pale. If you go out in the, especially people with light skin, white people or Caucasians, if they go out in the cold, the whole skin will become white or pink or something like that because of the cold. Okay, mainly white. So you need to be able to explain how this mechanism works given the context and situation. So remember what happens in the hot situations, remember what happens in the cold situations. Okay.